Welcome to Cosmic Bedtime, where the universe becomes your lullaby. Tonight, we journey past the glowing heart of our solar system, beyond the known planets, into the quiet dark where whispers speak of a hidden world, Planet 9. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let us drift together into the stars. Far out in the frozen darkness beyond Neptune, where sunlight is little more than a pale glimmer and the warmth of the sun feels like a distant memory, there may be a world that no one has ever seen. It does not shine in the sky like Venus, nor does it glow with the familiar beauty of Saturn's rings. It hides, silently, in the farthest reaches of our solar system. Astronomers have given it a name, Planet 9. Yet the name feels almost too simple for such an enigma. To think of it only as the ninth planet is to miss its deeper mystery. It is not merely a number in line after Neptune, it is a ghostly presence, a gravitational whisper felt in the way distant icy worlds tilt and cluster, as if they are obeying a hidden command. As you listen to this story, imagine that you are floating free from Earth, leaving behind the bright familiarity of our skies. You drift past the Moon, past Mars, past Jupiter's swirling storms and Saturn's glowing rings. The planets grow smaller and dimmer as you move outward. And then, beyond Neptune, you enter a kingdom of shadows where the stars are sharper, colder, and the silence is deeper than anything you have ever known. It is here, in this vast dark, that Planet 9 may wait. The universe rarely reveals its secrets with a roar. Instead, it speaks softly, leaving faint hints that only the most patient eyes and ears can detect. Planet 9 was not discovered through a telescope or photographed against the backdrop of stars. Instead, it was suggested by the subtle dance of smaller worlds, tiny icy bodies beyond Neptune known as trans-Neptunian objects. Astronomers noticed that these distant objects were not scattered randomly, as one might expect in such an enormous wilderness of space. Instead, many of them traced unusual, elongated orbits, tilted and clustered in one particular direction. Imagine leaves floating on a lake, drifting in graceful arcs, not because of the breeze you feel on your skin, but because of an unseen current deep beneath the surface. That hidden current, astronomers suspected, might be the gravity of an unseen planet. Something massive. Something distant. Something whose presence could only be inferred by the faintest of clues. This is the way of the universe, first a whisper, then a question, then a journey into the unknown. To picture where Planet 9 might exist, imagine traveling beyond Neptune, the last of the known giant planets. Neptune is already a lonely sentinel, circling the Sun more than 4 billion kilometers away. If you stood on its icy surface, though in truth, Neptune has no solid ground, the Sun would look like a tiny, bright star, not the blazing disk we know on Earth. Light from the Sun, which reaches us in 8 minutes, would take over 4 hours to touch Neptune. But Planet 9, if it is real, lies much farther still. It may circle the Sun at a distance of hundreds of billions of kilometers, a journey so long that a single orbit could take 10,000, even 20,000 years to complete. When the first humans lit fires in caves, Planet 9 would have been in the same place in its orbit that it still occupies today. Whole civilizations could rise and fall while this hidden world drifts silently through its endless loop. Out here, the Sun is no longer a guardian. It is a memory. The sky is thick with stars, brighter than we could ever see from Earth. It is a place of darkness, yet also of clarity. And somewhere in that darkness, Planet 9 waits. How do we know that such a world could exist? We do not know, not in the way we know Earth or Mars or Jupiter. What we have are hints, mathematical whispers carried by gravity. The trans-Neptunian objects that cluster at the edge of the solar system behave as though something massive is pulling on them. The chances of this happening by accident are so small that astronomers cannot ignore it. Again and again, the equations point toward the same solution: a planet, perhaps 5 to 10 times the mass of Earth, orbiting far beyond Neptune. Think of it as a ghost in the numbers. We cannot see it directly. No telescope has captured its light. And yet, the mathematics insists, something is there. Something enormous. Something silent. What would Planet 9 look like, if it exists? No one knows for certain, and that unknowing is part of the magic. Perhaps it is a gas giant smaller than Neptune, with a sky of pale blue and swirling storms frozen in slow motion. Perhaps it is a rocky super-Earth, a frozen desert with mountains of ice rising into the thin, dark air. Perhaps it is wrapped in clouds of methane, glowing faintly with the sun's distant reflection. Or perhaps it is something stranger still, a failed star, a brown dwarf that never ignited, wandering at the edge of our system like a forgotten ember. Close your eyes, and let your imagination shape it. See its lonely orbit, its icy storms, its moons drifting silently in its shadow. Whether it is blue or gray, cloudy or clear, it is a place of mystery. A world that belongs as much to dreams as it does to science. As you breathe slowly now, imagine drawing in the cold, crisp air of this hidden world. It is not a place for life, not as we know it, but it is a place for stillness, for reflection, for wonder. Planet 9 reminds us that even in our own solar system, we are not finished discovering. We like to think of space as mapped and measured, with every corner labeled. But the truth is gentler, and more mysterious. There are still secrets close to home. There are still whispers in the night sky, waiting to be heard. Let that thought comfort you. As vast as the cosmos is, it is also intimate, always offering more mysteries, more stories, more dreams. History reminds us that hidden worlds often reveal themselves only through subtle signs. Neptune itself was not discovered by chance, but predicted. In the 19th century, astronomers noticed that Uranus did not move as expected. Its orbit wobbled, pulled by something unseen. Careful calculations pointed toward another planet, and when telescopes finally searched the predicted region of the sky, Neptune was there, exactly where the mathematics had whispered it would be. Planet 9 is a modern echo of that story. We have not seen it, but we feel its pull. We trace its presence in the orbits of icy bodies the way ancient navigators read currents in the sea. Just as Neptune was once only a suggestion on paper, Planet 9 now lives in the quiet certainty of equations, waiting to be revealed. It is a reminder that the universe is always larger than we imagine, always holding more than our eyes can see. If you could stand on an imaginary moon orbiting Planet 9, what would you see? The sun would be no brighter than a star, faint and distant. The familiar planets, Jupiter with its storms, Saturn with its rings, would be invisible to the naked eye, lost in the blackness. The sky would not glow with sunlight, but with the countless stars of the galaxy, sharper and clearer than any earthly night. And yet, the silence would not be empty. Silence itself has a presence here, like a deep ocean without waves. The frozen world beneath your feet would creak softly as ice shifted over rock. The faint winds of a near vacuum might stir, whispering across plains of frozen methane. Above, the universe would stretch endlessly, each star a possibility, each constellation a song. To imagine such a place is to slow down, to let the mind drift into stillness. The chaos of daily life feels far away. Here, only the rhythm of the cosmos remains. The beauty of Planet 9 is not only in what it might be, but in what it represents. It is proof that even in the age of advanced telescopes and spacecraft, mystery endures. It shows us that exploration is not finished, and that even the spaces close to home, our own solar system, can hold secrets as profound as any distant galaxy. Perhaps we will find it one day, shining faintly in a photograph taken by some future telescope. Perhaps we never will, and it will remain only a theory. Yet either way, Planet 9 already serves a purpose. It gives us wonder. It stretches our imaginations. It reminds us that we are explorers not just of land and sea, but of possibility itself. As you lie back now, let yourself drift outward, as though you are carried on a slow current through the stars. You are no longer bound to Earth. You are a traveler, weightless and free, gliding silently toward the edge of the solar system. You pass the gas giants, the ice giants, and the faint debris of the Kuiper Belt. The sun grows smaller and dimmer until it feels like a lantern left behind. Ahead, there is only the soft pull of mystery, the quiet promise of Planet 9. You do not need to reach it. You only need to know it might be there. That is enough. The dream itself is the destination. So breathe slowly, gently. Inhale as though you are drawing in the stillness of space. Exhale as though you are releasing your own whisper into the cosmic dark. Each breath takes you farther into calm, farther into peace. And as the story of Planet 9 lingers in your mind, let it guide you, not to answers, not to conclusions, but to rest. For the hidden giant will wait, as it always has, drifting silently in its endless orbit. The universe is patient. Tonight, so are you. Beyond Neptune's cold, blue glow lies a realm few have imagined in detail. It is not a place of warmth, nor of life as we know it. It is a realm of shadows, of silence, of frozen fragments left behind from the birth of the solar system. To enter this region in thought is to step into a cosmic wilderness, where time slows and distance stretches until the very concept of near and far begins to blur. This is the outer frontier of our solar system, the Kuiper Belt, and beyond it, the Oort cloud. Together, they form a borderland between the family of planets we know and the endless sea of stars beyond. And it is here, in this vastness, that the whispers of Planet 9 are strongest. Imagine a great ring circling the sun, not bright like Saturn's, but vast and nearly invisible. This is the Kuiper Belt, a disk of icy worlds, stretching from just beyond Neptune out to billions of kilometers farther. Within it drift countless small bodies, comets, asteroids, dwarf planets. Some are no larger than mountains, others, like Pluto, Eris, and Haumea, are hundreds of kilometers across. They are relics, frozen time capsules from the early days of the solar system, when dust and ice swirled together in the newborn sun's disk. To float among them would be to sail through a silent archipelago of frozen islands. Each world is coated in ice, methane, nitrogen, water, glinting faintly with the borrowed light of the sun. The sky here is black, yet sharp with stars. The sun is just a pale beacon, casting long shadows across icy craters and ridges. And yet, for all its silence, the Kuiper Belt is not empty. It hums with unseen motion. Each icy body follows its path, circling the sun with quiet precision. Together, they create a pattern, a map written in orbits. And it was within these patterns that astronomers first saw the strange clustering that suggested the pull of a hidden giant. Among the many icy worlds of the Kuiper Belt, some stand apart, stranger, more distant, more mysterious. One of them is Sedna. Sedna is a reddish, frozen world, nearly 1,000 kilometers wide. Its orbit stretches far beyond Pluto, taking more than 11,000 years to circle the Sun once. For most of its journey, Sedna drifts in a region so remote that the Sun is just another star in the sky. It spends millennia in darkness, only briefly passing closer to the warmth of our star before retreating again into the cosmic night. Astronomers found Sedna's path puzzling. Why would a world follow such a strange, elongated orbit? It does not seem to belong to the familiar Kuiper Belt, nor does it quite fit within the distant Oort cloud. Its path is like a thread pulled by an unseen hand, pointing toward a force that must exist far away. Sedna is not alone. Other distant objects, with names known only to astronomers, 2012 VP-113, 2015 TG-387, trace similar arcs. They seem to march in unison, as though obeying a hidden rhythm. And that rhythm, some believe, is kept by Planet 9. Far beyond the Kuiper Belt, at distances almost beyond comprehension, lies the Oort cloud. It is not a solid structure, but a vast, spherical halo of icy fragments surrounding the solar system like a ghostly shell. Imagine it, trillions of icy bodies, each a frozen seed of a comet, orbiting in silence, scattered across distances so immense that the nearest star begins to feel close by comparison. The Oort cloud is the birthplace of long-period comets, the icy wanderers that occasionally fall inward, blazing across Earth's skies before returning to the dark for millennia. It may stretch halfway to the next star. It is the boundary where the Sun's influence begins to fade, where interstellar space looms close. Some believe that Planet 9's gravity could help shape the inner edge of this cloud, shepherding icy fragments like a distant shepherd watching over a silent flock. If so, then Planet 9 is not just a planet, but a guardian of the solar system's farthest frontier. To imagine the outskirts of the solar system is to imagine stillness. Not the stillness of a paused moment, but the stillness of eternity. Distances are so vast that movement feels frozen, yet everything drifts onward, slowly, surely, patiently. If you were to travel through this region, you would not hear the rush of wind, nor the crash of waves, nor the hum of engines. You would hear nothing at all, only the quiet rhythm of your own breath, the steady beating of your heart. And yet, the silence is alive with possibility. Every icy fragment is a relic of creation. Every orbit tells a story of unseen influences. Every cluster, every tilt, every strange alignment whispers of a greater presence, something massive, something waiting in the dark. For centuries, humans believed the solar system ended with Saturn. Later, Uranus was discovered, then Neptune, then Pluto. Each discovery pushed the boundary of our known world outward, like a lantern carried deeper into the dark. But beyond Pluto, the cosmos remains dim and uncertain. The Kuiper Belt and Oort cloud remind us that the solar system does not end sharply. Instead, it fades into interstellar space, gradually, quietly. Like the shoreline of an infinite sea, it stretches farther than we can truly comprehend. If Planet 9 exists, it does not simply orbit on the edge of this frontier, it defines it. It would mark the boundary between the family of planets we know and the infinite night beyond. Its presence would shape the outer reaches, giving structure to the formless vastness. Let us take an imaginary journey. We begin on Earth, a small blue world warm with oceans and life. We pass the Moon, its gray craters gleaming in sunlight. We cross the orbit of Mars, dusty and red. Then comes the great dominion of the gas giants, Jupiter with its storms, Saturn with its rings, Uranus with its tilted spin, Neptune with its deep blue winds. Here the solar system feels vast already, but it is only the beginning. Beyond Neptune, the distances between worlds grow enormous. Days, months, years of travel pass in silence. Eventually, we enter the Kuiper Belt, where icy worlds drift slowly in long ellipses. Pluto spins beneath a sky of stars, Charon locked in eternal embrace beside it. Still we drift farther. The Kuiper Belt thins. The space grows emptier. The sun is little more than a bright star, shining no stronger than others around it. And here, perhaps, we begin to sense the influence of Planet 9. Not in its light, for we cannot see it. Not in its shape, for it is too far to imagine. But in the way the other worlds lean, like grass bent by the wind. The journey does not stop. Beyond the Kuiper Belt, after billions of kilometers, the faint whispers of the Oort cloud appear, a halo of frozen fragments, a nearly invisible shell. To cross it would take lifetimes. And beyond it lies interstellar space, the true night, the sea of stars. It is on this path, between the Kuiper Belt and the Oort cloud, that the hidden giant may dwell. There is a strange peace in imagining the outer solar system. It is far beyond our reach, and yet that distance itself is comforting. It reminds us that not everything needs to be seen, touched, or measured. Some things can simply exist in mystery. Planet 9, if it exists, is not a world we will visit. It may never be mapped in detail. Its mountains and storms may remain forever unseen. And yet, it enriches our understanding simply by being possible. It whispers that there is always more to know, always more to wonder. The outskirts of the solar system are like the edge of a dream, hazy, shifting, but endlessly suggestive. They are a place where imagination blends with science, where stories and numbers meet. And in that place, Planet 9 lives. Lie back, and imagine yourself standing on one of these distant icy worlds. Perhaps Sedna, or Eris, or some nameless fragment adrift in the Kuiper Belt. Beneath your feet, the ground is frozen harder than stone. Around you stretches a horizon of ice, pale and silent. Above, the stars blaze. They are sharper than you have ever seen from Earth, unblurred by atmosphere, untouched by city lights. The Milky Way stretches like a river of fireflies across the sky. The sun is only another bright star among thousands. You lift your gaze higher, and you sense it, a presence, vast and unseen, drifting somewhere in that endless dark. It does not move quickly. It does not glow brightly. But its gravity shapes the paths of worlds, and through those paths, it whispers of itself. This is the essence of the solar system's outskirts, not emptiness, but quiet fullness. Not absence, but mystery. To stand at the edge of the solar system is to face infinity itself. One step farther, and you leave the sun's dominion. One step farther, and you are among the stars. The Kuiper Belt and Oort cloud are thresholds, liminal spaces between the known and the unknown. They are the solar system's twilight, where day becomes night, where certainty fades into wonder. And in that twilight, Planet 9 may circle. Patient, silent, eternal. A reminder that even as we map the stars and measure galaxies, the greatest mysteries may still lie close to home. As you breathe softly now, let the thought of the solar system's outskirts bring you peace. Imagine yourself floating there, far beyond Neptune, where silence reigns and stars burn bright. Feel the stillness, the vastness, the eternity stretching in all directions. You are safe. You are small, yet connected to something infinite. Every breath is like a comet drifting in its orbit, every heartbeat like a star pulsing in the dark. The outskirts of the solar system are not lonely. They are full of presence, of quiet companionship, of mysteries waiting patiently. And Planet 9, whether real or imagined, is part of that companionship, a hidden friend at the edge of night. Sometimes, the most powerful evidence of something unseen lies not in what we observe directly, but in the patterns that linger around it. Imagine walking through a quiet forest at dusk. You do not see the animal that passed before you, but you notice the bent grass, the broken twigs, the soft indentations in the soil. These are signs, whispers of a presence that has already moved on. Astronomers, too, rely on such whispers. In the outer solar system, where light is dim and distances unimaginable, direct observation becomes nearly impossible. Yet the orbits of small, icy bodies act like grass blades in the cosmic wind, they bend and curve under the influence of something greater. If that influence is invisible, its effect still lingers, carved into the sky like an invisible hand guiding their paths. It is here, in these subtle arcs and strange alignments, that the possibility of Planet 9 emerges. The first clue came not from a telescope sighting, but from an odd pattern. Astronomers noticed that several distant objects, icy worlds like Sedna and others, seemed to have orbits tilted and stretched in unusual ways. They were not random, as one might expect in the chaos of the Kuiper Belt. Instead, they appeared to cluster, as though tugged gently by some unseen gravity. Sedna, for example, follows an extraordinary path. Its orbit carries it far beyond the reach of Neptune, yet it curves back toward the sun with almost poetic regularity. On its own, Sedna might be an anomaly. But when several other bodies show similar behavior, the question becomes inescapable: what is guiding them? It is as though you looked at a field of spinning tops and noticed that a few of them leaned in the same direction, pulled by some faint, hidden magnet. The tilt itself is the clue. Over time, more and more of these unusual orbits were identified. They seemed to cluster in space, as if some giant presence lurked just beyond our sight, keeping them in place. These are not small adjustments, they are significant tilts and stretches, like the difference between a marble rolling freely and one guided by an invisible groove in the table. The idea that a hidden planet might be responsible began to grow stronger. The orbits themselves were like voices in a choir, all singing in the same key. Such harmony suggested a conductor, even if unseen. And so, astronomers listened. They traced the paths carefully, measuring angles, calculating eccentricities, comparing distances. Slowly, a picture began to form. The unseen world must be massive, perhaps 10 times the weight of Earth. Its orbit must be long, stretching far beyond Pluto. And its influence must be subtle but powerful, shepherding icy fragments across the edge of the solar system. It is important to remember that these orbits unfold over unimaginable timescales. Sedna, for instance, takes more than 11,000 years to complete a single trip around the Sun. Others require thousands, even tens of thousands of years. For us, bound by days and months, this is almost impossible to comprehend. And yet, it is precisely this patience that makes their alignments meaningful. Over so many millennia, random chance would scatter their orbits in all directions. Instead, they remain oddly synchronized, as though something were holding them in gentle hands. Picture leaves floating down a river. If they all drift toward the same bend, you begin to suspect that the current is guiding them. In the same way, these icy worlds, drifting over cosmic centuries, reveal the hidden current of gravity. Astronomers have long been wary of invisible explanations. History is filled with both successes and missteps. Neptune, for example, was discovered by following the odd movements of Uranus. Its gravitational tug betrayed its presence before it was ever seen. But there is also Pluto, once thought to be the cause of anomalies in Neptune's orbit, later revealed to be far too small. Planet 9 sits at the intersection of these two legacies, the triumph of Neptune's discovery and the cautionary tale of Pluto's overestimation. The lesson is clear: follow the clues, but tread carefully. And yet, the clues remain persistent. The clustering of orbits is not a trick of chance, not easily explained by randomness. Computer simulations suggest that only a massive, distant planet could shape them so consistently. Like footprints in snow, the evidence may melt with time, but while it lasts, it points to a direction. Gravity is silent, but it is also relentless. Unlike light, it cannot be blocked or hidden. Unlike sound, it does not fade in air. It is the quiet architect of the universe, always shaping, always pulling. The orbits of distant worlds are its sculptures. Their arcs and tilts are brushstrokes painted across the dark canvas of the solar system. And in those brushstrokes, we may glimpse the hand of Planet 9. The unseen giant does not announce itself with brilliance or fire. It whispers through geometry. It reveals itself through the way Sedna curves, the way Eris leans, the way small icy bodies align like pearls on a hidden string. It is less like discovering a mountain by seeing it, and more like discovering it by feeling the direction of the wind. There is something soothing about patterns, especially in the night. Think of the constellations. They are not truly shapes, yet we trace them into bears, hunters, and swans. The stars themselves are unrelated, scattered across light years. But to us, the patterns matter. They give structure to the sky. In the same way, the clustering of distant orbits give structure to the outer solar system. It may not be random. It may not be chance. It may be the fingerprint of a hidden presence, the calm regularity of an unseen giant guiding the cosmic dance. Even if Planet 9 remains invisible, its possible influence brings a kind of quiet reassurance. The universe is vast, yes, but it is not chaos. It hums with patterns, whispers with meaning. As you close your eyes, imagine those orbits as great arcs of silver drawn across the night. They are not fast, not hurried. They move with the patience of eternity, circling slowly, forever. Each icy world drifts along its path, like a note in a soft, endless song. Together, they weave a harmony, faint but steady. And somewhere in that harmony lies the signature of a hidden giant, Planet 9, silent and unseen, yet part of the music. Breathe deeply, and let that thought cradle you. The universe is vast, but even at its edges, patterns remain. You are safe, rocked gently by the same gravity that guides worlds. The clues are written in the stars, and in their soft geometry, you find rest. The night sky is more than a map of stars. It is a memory, written in silver across the darkness, carrying the stories of generations who looked upward and wondered. Each planet, each orbit, each wandering light has been part of that story. Some chapters are long and steady. Others arrive as sudden revelations, when something unseen finally makes itself known. Centuries ago, people believed the solar system was complete. They knew the wandering stars visible to the naked eye: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. These were the ancient planets, the lights that moved against the fixed backdrop of stars. To them, the heavens were ordered and whole. But the sky, as always, held secrets. In 1781, William Herschel, gazing through his telescope, noticed a faint object in the night. At first, he thought it was a star, but its movement betrayed it. This was no star. It was a new world, an entire planet beyond Saturn. For the first time in recorded history, humanity had expanded its map of the solar system with the help of a telescope. Uranus, as it came to be known, was vast and pale, drifting in a realm no one had expected. Its discovery was like finding a hidden room in a familiar house, a chamber filled with quiet mystery. The solar system was not finished. It was larger, stranger, and more alive than anyone had dared imagine. But Uranus carried with it more than wonder. It carried questions. As astronomers charted its path, they noticed something peculiar: the orbit of Uranus did not behave as predicted. It drifted slightly, pulled in ways that did not match the calculations. For years, the best minds puzzled over these irregularities. Some thought the measurements were wrong. Others suspected that Newton's laws, the pillars of celestial mechanics, might not apply so perfectly after all. But another possibility grew in the minds of a few: perhaps there was something else out there, another giant, whose gravity was shaping Uranus's path from the shadows. It was not Uranus itself that held the secret, but the way it danced, the faint hesitation in its steps, as though guided by an unseen partner. In the 1840s, two men, working independently, began to follow this trail of whispers. Urbain Le Verrier in France and John Couch Adams in England used mathematics as their telescope. They did not search the sky, they searched the numbers. By carefully measuring Uranus's deviations, they calculated where the hidden planet should be. It was an extraordinary act of faith, believing in a world that no eye had seen, trusting instead in the silent tug of gravity. And then, in 1846, Johann Galle, guided by Leverrier's predictions, turned his telescope toward the designated patch of sky. There, within a degree of where the equations had foretold, lay Neptune, a blue jewel at the edge of the known solar system. It was one of the greatest triumphs of science. A planet discovered not by sight, but by thought. This story lingers in the memory of astronomy, a tale both triumphant and humbling. It showed that the universe speaks through patterns, and that careful listening can reveal wonders beyond imagination. Now, more than 170 years later, the whispers have begun again. But this time, they come not from Uranus, but from a family of icy, distant worlds whose orbits twist and cluster in strange unison. Their alignment, improbable and haunting, suggests the hand of something vast and unseen, Planet 9. The similarity is almost poetic. Once again, we are guided by anomalies. Once again, the laws of gravity become the ink on the page, writing the location of a hidden world. History, it seems, has a rhythm, echoing across centuries. And so we find ourselves at the edge of déjà vu, standing where astronomers once stood, listening to the faint murmur of an invisible planet. But history is not a straight line. After Neptune, another story unfolded, one that teaches caution. In the early 20th century, astronomers thought Neptune's orbit also showed irregularities, and they searched for another planet, Planet X. In 1930, Clyde Tombaugh discovered Pluto, a tiny, icy body at the edge of the solar system. At first, Pluto was hailed as the missing world. But in time, it was revealed to be far too small to affect Neptune's orbit. The mystery had been an illusion, the result of errors in observation. Pluto was real, yes, but it was not the giant that had been imagined. This, too, is part of the memory written in the sky, the reminder that the universe gives hints, but not all of them lead to giants. Sometimes the whispers are echoes, sometimes shadows. Planet 9, if it exists, must prove itself against this history, both the triumph of Neptune and the caution of Pluto. There is a certain romance in these cycles. Imagine the astronomers of the 19th century, bent over their charts, tracing the wandering path of Uranus by candlelight. Imagine the mathematicians, eyes weary, scribbling calculations late into the night, chasing the shadow of a world they could not see. Now imagine our own astronomers, 2 centuries later, staring at computer simulations, running models of icy fragments far beyond Neptune, searching for the invisible current that shapes them. Different tools, different centuries, yet the same quiet pursuit, to find what the universe has hidden. It is as though the cosmos itself is a storyteller, repeating its themes across eras, reminding us that wonder is never exhausted. If Planet 9 is real, it is not a planet of our everyday sky. Unlike Neptune, it may never shine bright enough for the naked eye. It may circle so far from the sun that centuries pass in a single season. It is a world that hides not because it is small, but because it is distant, patient, and slow. But its presence would still be felt. The icy bodies aligned at the edge of the solar system would be its footprints, its echo, its silent song. Just as Neptune announced itself through the orbit of Uranus, Planet 9 announces itself through the tilt of Sedna and her companions. The similarity is haunting, like a melody played in a different key, centuries apart. And so we stand at a threshold between memory and mystery. We remember Neptune, the planet pulled from darkness by the force of mathematics, a triumph of intellect and patience. We remember Pluto, the lesson in humility, reminding us that the cosmos is not so easily deciphered. Now we face Planet 9, the whisper of a hidden giant. Perhaps it will reveal itself in time. Perhaps it will remain a story, a ghost written into the geometry of orbits. Either way, the pursuit itself is part of our story, a thread in the tapestry of human wonder. The sky is not finished. The solar system, even now, may not be complete. As you close your eyes, imagine the astronomers of centuries past, their telescopes aimed at the velvet night. Imagine the slow sweep of Uranus across the stars, the restless curve that betrayed the presence of Neptune. Imagine the hushed excitement when predictions became sight, when numbers gave birth to a world. Now, let that memory blend with the present, the icy arcs of Sedna, the faint clustering of distant orbits. History is not gone. It drifts like a lullaby through time, repeating its verses, inviting us to listen again. And as you drift into sleep, know that you, too, are part of this story. You are lying beneath the same sky that carried Neptune into view, the same sky that may one day unveil Planet 9. You are held by the same gravity, rocked by the same silence, carried by the same mystery. Sleep well, under the memory of hidden planets. The story continues, written in the orbits of the stars. Far beyond the warmth of the familiar planets, where sunlight thins into a fragile thread, there may be a world waiting. We call it Planet 9, though no telescope has yet captured its face. It is a ghostly rumor, a gravity that tugs at the edges of the solar system, bending orbits like reeds in the wind. But what is it? What kind of being drifts so far, half real, half imagined? To imagine Planet 9 is to weave stories from fragments of mathematics, to build worlds from whispers. Astronomers have given us possibilities, each one like a mask the ghost might wear, each one a different dream of what might be. One idea is that Planet 9 was once like Neptune, a vast giant of gas and ice, a sibling formed close to the Sun in the early days of the solar system. In those chaotic times, when planets jostled for place and gravity wrestled with gravity, such a world may have been flung outward. Perhaps Jupiter, mighty and turbulent, kicked it from its orbit with a violent embrace. Perhaps Saturn, with its ringed beauty, tugged too hard in a cosmic dance. And so, this giant was exiled, sent to wander the frozen outskirts, too far to shine brightly, too far to return. If this is true, then Planet 9 is not merely distant, it is a forgotten child of the solar system, carrying the memory of a home it can no longer reach. Another possibility whispers of something stranger. Perhaps Planet 9 is not a planet at all, but a failed star, a brown dwarf that never ignited. Stars are born from collapsing clouds of gas, their hearts set aflame by pressure and heat. But sometimes, the spark never catches. Sometimes the flame dies before it begins. Such objects drift in the darkness, neither star nor planet, companions that glow faintly in infrared but remain invisible to the eye. If Planet 9 is such a thing, then it is a reminder of how fragile creation can be, how close the boundary lies between light and silence. To imagine Planet 9 as a failed star is to imagine a ghost that once longed to burn but was denied, condemned to coldness yet still bound to the sun's gravity, circling endlessly in shadows. There is another, quieter theory. Planet 9 might not be a giant of gas or a failed star, but instead a massive, frozen world, a super-Earth clothed in ice. 5 to 10 times the size of our own planet, yet made not of flame or cloud, but of stone and frozen water. On such a world, mountains of ice might rise into a sky dimly lit by a sun that appears no brighter than a star. Oceans, if they exist, would lie buried beneath frozen crusts, silent and eternal. This vision is haunting, for it feels almost familiar. Such a world would not be entirely alien, it would be kin to Earth, yet stretched into something vaster, slower, lonelier. A mirror of home, but exiled into silence. Astronomers say that if Planet 9 exists, it may be 5 to 10 times the mass of Earth. Imagine holding our planet in your mind, with all its oceans, mountains, and living breath. Then imagine it multiplied, heavy and slow, so vast it could shepherd the orbits of distant icy bodies without effort. It would not be as large as Jupiter, not as immense as Saturn, yet still a colossus by earthly measure. To us, it would be enormous, a presence that dwarfs imagination, even though it hides beyond the faintest reach of our sight. Numbers cannot capture the poetry of such scale. To say, 5 times Earth, is to speak of weight, but to feel it is to imagine gravity itself bending, to sense the unseen hand that guides entire families of objects across millions of years. In all these visions, castaway giant, failed star, frozen Earth, one image returns again and again, a blue ghost drifting in silence. Why blue? Because Neptune and Uranus, its possible siblings, wear that color, painted by methane in their atmospheres. If Planet 9 is kin, it too may glow with that same melancholy hue, a pale azure, softened by distance, dimmed by the endless night. But unlike Neptune, which we can see, Planet 9 would be faint, its glow swallowed by distance. It would appear not as a shining jewel, but as a smudge of blue, almost vanishing, a ghostly lantern in the frost. It drifts there, unseen, not gone but waiting. A specter at the edge of the solar system. To imagine this world is also to imagine its silence. At such a distance, the sun would be a small star in the sky, giving light but little warmth. Seasons would last millennia. A year could stretch across 20,000 Earth years. The cold would be absolute, deeper than anything we know. Winds might move slowly, heavy with frozen particles. The ground, if there is ground, would be hard as crystal. Nothing would stir. Nothing would break the endless quiet. And yet, this silence has its beauty. A serenity that Earth cannot know, a stillness untouched by storms or seas. It is a peace so deep it becomes its own kind of music. Planet 9, whatever it may be, is also a mirror of our own imagination. Each theory, gas giant, failed star, icy world, tells as much about us as it does about the cosmos. We create these visions because we cannot help but dream into the darkness. The truth, when revealed, may surprise us. It may be none of these things, or some mixture we cannot yet conceive. But the act of imagining is itself precious, a reminder that mystery still breathes in the solar system, that discovery is not finished. Neptune was once a ghost, too. So was Uranus. So was every world before the moment we turned our eyes and instruments toward them. Planet 9, if real, waits for that same transformation, from whisper to certainty, from theory to presence. Until then, it remains a story, half science, half poetry, drifting in our minds like a dream of the outer dark. And perhaps that is fitting. Perhaps every age needs its ghost planet, its invisible companion, its distant hope. For wonder, too, is a kind of gravity. As you close your eyes tonight, imagine that blue ghost. Imagine it drifting, slow and silent, far beyond Neptune's frozen ring. Imagine its faint glow, a lantern no one has yet seen. It is not hostile. It does not threaten. It simply waits, patient as stone, turning in its orbit like a forgotten note in a cosmic song. Sleep beneath that song. Let it cradle you, let it remind you that the universe is vast, that the edges are still unwritten, and that even in the coldest silence, beauty lingers. For somewhere out there, perhaps right now, a blue ghost drifts through the dark, Planet 9, waiting to be found. Imagine standing beneath the night sky, a field of stars shimmering across the black canvas. To the naked eye, it seems full, infinite. But even in that vast spread of light, there are absences, gaps where something might hide. Planet 9, if it exists, lives in those gaps, in the spaces between stars where no glow betrays its presence. To find it is like searching for a candle flickering at the edge of a continent. The distances are overwhelming. The faintness is humbling. And yet, astronomers have begun the hunt, armed not with torches but with machines of extraordinary sight, telescopes powerful enough to catch whispers in the dark. The search for Planet 9 has drawn upon the finest instruments humanity has built. Telescopes like the Subaru telescope in Hawaii, with its wide-field camera, can sweep vast portions of the heavens in exquisite detail. Where the human eye sees a dot, Subaru can resolve patterns of motion across years. Other surveys contribute as well. The Dark Energy Survey in Chile, designed to probe the universe's expansion, also scans the outer solar system as a side gift. Future instruments, like the Vera C. Rubin Observatory, promise to map the sky night after night, capturing faint drifts of light too subtle for older tools. These telescopes are not passive watchers. They are hunters, tracing faint motions across the starfield, looking for objects that wander where stars stand still. But even with such instruments, Planet 9 remains elusive. Why? Because at the distances proposed, perhaps 400 to 800 times farther from the Sun than Earth, the sunlight that reaches it is a feeble trickle. A world 5 or 10 times larger than Earth would still shine no brighter than a coal at the bottom of a mine. Astronomers estimate it could be as dim as the faintest stars visible through giant telescopes, blending into the backdrop. To find it, they must compare images taken months, even years apart, searching for the tiniest shift, a speck that moves when the rest of the heavens does not. This is painstaking work, like sifting through a beach of sand to find one grain slightly warmer than the rest. The difficulty lies not only in dimness but in scale. The sky is vast, and Planet 9 could be anywhere within a swath of it. Astronomers have narrowed down the region, but even so, the search zone spans thousands of times the size of the full moon. It is like being told that a lost lantern lies somewhere in a mountain range, and then being given a single candle to look with. One must scan valley after valley, slope after slope, slowly, patiently, without guarantee. Some surveys have already scoured parts of this territory with no success, leaving the ghost still hidden. Each "not found" is both disappointment and progress. It tells us where not to look, narrowing the mystery. Behind these machines are people, teams of astronomers who devote years of their lives to the hunt. They sit before computer screens, comparing star fields, writing code to sift images, debating where the orbit models suggest to point next. Some of them, like Konstantin Batygin and Mike Brown, helped shape the very hypothesis of Planet 9 by tracing the strange alignments of distant icy bodies. Their predictions set the stage for the global search, sparking both skepticism and excitement. Others joined in, international collaborations pooling time on telescopes, graduate students combing through data night after night, amateurs following the story with devotion. It is a collective pursuit, not unlike the age-old hunts of explorers, except this one unfolds in silence, with no ships, no maps, only stars. Science is often portrayed as rapid discovery, lightning flashes of revelation. But the search for Planet 9 is slower, a meditation stretched across decades. Each observing season brings a little more sky covered. Each new algorithm refines the search. Each null result is quietly filed, guiding the way. There is both frustration and beauty in this patience. Frustration, because the ghost refuses to show itself. Beauty, because the persistence reflects something deeply human, the refusal to stop looking, even when the path is dark. To continue scanning the heavens for a whisper is itself an act of faith. Not all believe Planet 9 exists. Some argue that the strange alignments of distant icy objects could be coincidence, or the product of observational bias. Perhaps there is no hidden giant at all, only patterns in the data that mislead us. This uncertainty sharpens the hunt. Astronomers must search not only for the planet but for clarity, distinguishing between shadow and substance. If they find nothing after enough of the sky is swept, the ghost may dissolve, revealed as a trick of chance. And yet, the possibility remains. That is why the search continues, because if Planet 9 is real, its discovery would reshape our understanding of the solar system. The future of this hunt rests with upcoming instruments. The Vera C. Rubin Observatory, scheduled to begin its survey soon, will photograph the entire visible sky every few nights, producing an ocean of data unprecedented in astronomy. In those shifting images, even the faintest wanderer may betray itself. Other tools, space telescopes peering in infrared, perhaps even future missions beyond Neptune, could also join the effort. For in the cold, Planet 9 might glow faintly in wavelengths invisible to our eyes but bright to such machines. The ghost cannot hide forever, not from eyes that sharpen with every year. The search for Planet 9 carries echoes of another time, when Neptune itself was just a suspicion. Then too, astronomers followed mathematics into the sky, searching where calculations suggested a hidden world should be. And after years of searching, they found it. Perhaps history is repeating itself. Perhaps once more, we are on the cusp of turning equations into a face, whispers into certainty. Or perhaps we are chasing shadows, a reminder that the cosmos is not obligated to yield to our longing. Whatever the outcome, the search itself is poetry. Humanity, a species bound to one small planet, dares to imagine giants in the cold dark and builds machines to pursue them. We aim telescopes at emptiness and believe that something waits there. It is a strange, beautiful act, to chase a ghost across the stars. As night falls, and telescopes open their eyes to the heavens, imagine them sweeping slowly across the black. Imagine the screens glowing in control rooms, the scientists murmuring over data, the sky turning overhead in silence. Perhaps, even now, Planet 9 is in those images, one faint speck waiting to be noticed, its slow drift marked in years. Perhaps tonight, someone has already captured it without yet knowing. Until then, the hunt continues, quiet as a heartbeat, steady as a breath. Searching in the shadows, reaching into the silence, waiting for the ghost to step into light. If Planet 9 is real, then it is not just another rock adrift in space. It is an architect, an invisible hand shaping the outer edges of the solar system. Every comet that drifts inward, every icy body whose orbit tilts strangely, may be telling us of its unseen presence. To confirm it would be to confirm that our solar system has been incomplete all along, its story missing a chapter. The discovery would not just add another world to the list. It would change the way we understand how worlds are born, how they evolve, and how the solar system itself came to be. For centuries, we have pictured the solar system as a neat progression, Mercury closest, then Venus, Earth, and Mars, beyond them the giants, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and then, far at the edge, Pluto and a wilderness of icy bodies. But if Planet 9 exists, it reshapes that map. No longer does Neptune stand as the frontier. Beyond it lies another giant, drifting in exile. It would stretch the solar system's family further into the dark, demanding that every diagram, every schoolbook, every story about the planets be retold. Our neighborhood would feel less complete, more mysterious. Instead of 8, perhaps 9 once more, though this 9th would be nothing like the Pluto we once debated, but a true giant in hiding. One of the strongest arguments for Planet 9 is its gravitational fingerprint. The strange clustering of distant icy worlds, the tilted orbits, the mysterious trajectories of comets, all seem to whisper of a massive body shepherding them from afar. If confirmed, Planet 9 explains these patterns with elegance. It becomes the hidden shepherd of the Kuiper Belt, gathering icy objects into resonances, tugging them into alignment like a conductor shaping an unseen orchestra. It would mean that the architecture of the solar system, the way orbits are drawn, the way comets are launched, owes itself partly to this distant giant. Every streak of a comet across our night sky might carry its influence, a reminder of a world we have not yet seen. Beyond its gravitational influence lies a deeper question: how did it come to be? Its existence would challenge and enrich our theories of planetary formation. One possibility is that Planet 9 formed alongside Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, a fifth giant, born from the same swirling disk of gas and dust. In the early chaos of the solar system, gravitational tussles between the giants might have flung it outward, exiling it to the dark. Instead of being lost to interstellar space, it remained bound, tracing a vast, cold orbit. If so, then Planet 9 is a fossil of that ancient time, a survivor of cosmic violence. Studying it would be like reading the solar system's childhood diary, learning how chaotic and unstable those first millions of years were. Another possibility, perhaps it was not born here at all. Perhaps our sun stole it, captured a rogue planet wandering between stars during its youth, when the sun was still in a crowded stellar nursery. If that is true, then Planet 9 is both alien and kin, a visitor from beyond that has become part of our family. Its size, 5 to 10 times Earth's mass, makes it something strange. Too small to be a true gas giant like Jupiter, but too large to be a mere icy dwarf. If it is real, it could resemble a scaled-up Neptune, a blue, misty world with a thick atmosphere of hydrogen and helium cloaking a rocky, icy core. Some even speculated might be a failed star, a body that once had ambitions of fusion but never gathered enough mass. Though that theory stretches the imagination, it emphasizes how ambiguous such a planet would be, not quite like anything else we know in our system. To look upon it would be to see a ghostly blue lantern adrift in endless winter, a world massive enough to command orbits yet silent enough to hide for eons. If Planet 9 exists, it does not simply sit alone. Its presence ripples across the Kuiper Belt and the Oort cloud. It would help explain why certain objects have orbits that point away from the Sun in unusual angles, why some seem locked into strange resonances. It may even be responsible for sending comets inward across ages, comets that struck Earth, delivering water and perhaps sparking the chemistry of life. If so, then Planet 9 is not only a cold exile but a distant benefactor, its hidden gravity a hand that once touched our oceans and our origins. For centuries, we thought we knew the solar system well. 8 planets, a scattering of smaller bodies, and a belt of comets at the edge. If Planet 9 is real, that confidence dissolves. The solar system is not finished. Its story is still being written. This discovery would ripple through astronomy, reshaping our models of planetary systems around other stars. For if our sun hides such a giant, then perhaps other stars do too. Perhaps exile is common, a secret population of giants wandering in the dark, unseen except by their pull. We would no longer look at the night sky the same way. Every point of light, every star, might hide its own ghostly companion, waiting for eyes sharp enough to see. There is also something deeply human about the possibility. For all our technology, for all our knowledge, we still do not know our own backyard fully. To realize that an entire planet may be orbiting our sun, unnoticed until now, is humbling. It reminds us that mystery is not only in distant galaxies but here, within reach. That the frontier is not closed. That the solar system, our cosmic home, is still larger, stranger, and more poetic than we dared believe. If one day the telescopes catch it, if a faint speck of bluish light shifts against the stars, then silence will follow. A silence heavy with realization. The silence of knowing that the ghost is real, that the whispers were true, that the solar system has been hiding a giant all along. That silence will not be emptiness, but fullness, the pause before stories are rewritten, textbooks revised, imaginations reignited. Planet 9, if it exists, will not just be another discovery. It will be a revelation. And so we wait, as the search continues. The ghost may be out there, circling endlessly in the frozen dark. It may never reveal itself, or it may be captured tomorrow in a frame of starlight. If it is found, our maps change. Our history changes. Our sense of belonging in the cosmos deepens. The solar system will have spoken once more, reminding us that even in the places we think we know best, shadows still hide secrets. And in those shadows, wonder waits. Science thrives not only on discovery, but on doubt. Every great mystery calls forth not just bold answers but cautious voices, voices that ask, what if we are wrong? What if there is another way to explain what we see? Planet 9, with all its allure, is no exception. For every astronomer who sees the clustering of orbits as the fingerprint of a hidden giant, there are others who whisper, perhaps we do not need a ghostly planet at all. Perhaps the strange alignments are not the sign of an invisible shepherd, but the sum of smaller, quieter influences woven together. This is the landscape of alternative theories, a place where skepticism is not denial, but discipline. One of the most grounded alternatives suggests that the odd orbits in the Kuiper Belt can be explained without invoking a single massive body. Instead, the explanation may lie in the combined gravity of countless small icy worlds. Imagine the Kuiper Belt as a great orchestra, not led by a conductor but shaped by the collective hum of its players. Every dwarf planet, every icy shard, every frozen comet, each contributes a note of gravity. Alone, their pull is negligible. Together, across millions and billions of years, their combined resonance could sculpt the very patterns we now see. The clustering of orbits, the peculiar tilts, the resonances, they may all emerge naturally, not from one mighty presence, but from the democracy of many small ones. This view paints the outer solar system not as a kingdom ruled by a hidden monarch, but as a commune, where no world reigns alone. Another possibility is that the patterns we think we see are illusions, born from chaos. The Kuiper Belt and Oort cloud are vast, filled with objects we can barely count, much less track precisely. Our surveys are incomplete, biased by the reach of our telescopes and the angles we choose to search. What if the clustering is only apparent? A trick of perspective, a statistical mirage that fades as more objects are discovered? As with constellations drawn in the night sky, our minds may be connecting dots that nature never intended to align. If so, then Planet 9 is a ghost we invented, born not from gravity, but from the human tendency to seek patterns where randomness rules. Beyond these cautious explanations lies something stranger. Some physicists wonder, what if the anomalies in the outer solar system are not caused by any planet at all, but by dark matter? Dark matter, that unseen substance which outweighs all visible stars and galaxies, pervades the cosmos like a hidden ocean. Could subtle currents of it brush against our solar system, tugging on icy worlds with invisible hands? If dark matter is not perfectly smooth, but clumps in filaments and halos, then perhaps one such clump lies nearby. Its gravity might be enough to warp the orbits at the edge of our system. This idea moves us from the familiar into the surreal. Instead of a blue giant hiding in the dark, the culprit could be something more elusive than any planet, something that cannot be seen at all, only inferred. Still others suggest the explanation lies in the structure of the solar system's outermost shell, the Oort cloud. This vast, spherical reservoir of comets stretches almost halfway to the nearest stars, a frozen halo of debris left over from the solar system's birth. What if the Oort cloud is not perfectly uniform? What if its distribution is lopsided, or if passing stars and galactic tides have shaped it into an asymmetric form? In that case, the pull we attribute to a hidden planet might instead be the lingering memory of these vast interactions. The solar system is not isolated, it drifts through a galaxy full of gravitational encounters. A star brushing past millions of years ago, or the slow tug of the Milky Way itself, could distort the outer cloud in ways that mimic the influence of a hidden giant. The culprit, then, would not be a neighbor, but the galaxy itself. What unites these alternatives is not certainty but humility. Each is a way of saying, we do not yet know enough. The data are too thin, the distance is too great, the bias is too strong. To leap too quickly to a single explanation risks mistaking our ignorance for discovery. And so science sits in a posture of suspicion. On one hand, the allure of Planet 9 remains strong, a neat, elegant solution to a puzzling pattern. On the other, the alternatives remind us that the cosmos rarely yields its truths so easily. Skepticism is not the enemy of wonder. It is its companion. To doubt Planet 9 is not to diminish the mystery, but to deepen it. For whether the truth lies in a hidden world, a swarm of smaller ones, or the whisper of dark matter, the cosmos is speaking in riddles we have not yet solved. Each alternative theory is a lantern lit along the path, reminding us that science is not about clinging to one answer, but about following the evidence wherever it may lead, even if it leads us away from the stories we most long to tell. There is, too, a certain beauty in uncertainty. To live in this moment, when the mystery is unresolved, is to dwell in possibility. Perhaps in a decade's time, Planet 9 will be photographed, a pale blue dot drifting in the dark. Or perhaps new surveys will dissolve the clustering into randomness, leaving only silence where once we thought a ghost stood. But tonight, as telescopes sweep the sky and data quietly accumulate, we do not yet know. We can still wonder, still imagine, still dream. And sometimes, that unknowing is the sweetest state of all, a lullaby sung not by certainty, but by mystery itself. Imagine this: one night, after years of patient searching, after survey upon survey and sleepless calculations, an astronomer stares at a screen. The images before them are ordinary, dots of light scattered across blackness. Yet one dot lingers strangely. It does not belong to the catalogue of stars. It does not align with galaxies. It moves, just slightly, from one frame to the next. At first, doubt whispers, an error, a smudge, a trick of software. But the motion is real. The dot is real. And as the data confirm, the heart races. This is no star. It is a world. A faint, cold orb drifting at the edge of everything we know. Planet 9, no longer a rumor but a reality. The announcement would ripple across the globe. Telescopes tuned, journalists poised, the world waiting for the image. And then, at last, the picture arrives, not a majestic disk, not swirling clouds, not vibrant rings, but a single pale speck against the cosmic sea. To the untrained eye, it may seem underwhelming. Just another dot. Yet in that dot lies a revolution. For it is not simply light, it is proof. It is the bridge between suspicion and truth, between dream and reality. Just as the first photograph of Earth from space changed how we saw ourselves, so too would this tiny image shift our place in the solar system. For the first time in more than 170 years, humanity would welcome a new planet. Even before the data pour in, before mass is measured, before composition is guessed, imagination will surge ahead. Books will be written, documentaries filmed, children will draw it in classrooms. The name Planet 9 may not remain forever. One day, it will bear a proper name, drawn perhaps from myth, chosen to embody its nature. But whatever it is called, it will take root in human culture as a symbol, the world that was hidden, the giant that lurked in the shadows, the reminder that even in our own celestial backyard, mysteries endure. This, too, is the power of discovery, not only to advance knowledge, but to inspire story, art, and wonder. Consider the sweep of history. When Neptune was discovered in 1846, cities celebrated, and newspapers printed its coordinates for the public to follow. When Pluto was spotted in 1930, an 11-year-old girl gave it its name, and a generation of children learned of the ninth planet. To discover Planet 9 would be to relive such moments, magnified by modern eyes and modern hearts. Social media would pulse with awe. Classrooms would erupt with questions. In an era where cynicism often outweighs wonder, here would be a reminder that the universe still holds surprises, still humbles us, still awakens our sense of the infinite. The path to Planet 9 would not be a simple triumph. It would be the culmination of decades of patience, thousands of failed nights, hundreds of false leads. To finally see it would be to honor all who doubted, all who persisted, all who searched when nothing seemed certain. It would stand as proof that science is not a sprint but a pilgrimage, long, slow, often frustrating, yet capable of reaching the miraculous. Every great achievement carries a lesson, and Planet 9 would teach us this: the universe rewards endurance. On a more practical level, the confirmation of Planet 9 would redraw the solar system. Textbooks would expand, diagrams would stretch further. The neat border of 8 planets would once again open, reminding us that our system is not as tidy as once believed. We would ask, how did this world form? How did it survive, exiled to such a distant orbit? Is it a giant icy core, a failed gas giant, or something altogether new? Every answer would spark fresh questions, pulling us deeper into the narrative of cosmic origins. In its silent orbit, Planet 9 would become a storyteller, whispering secrets of how the solar system came to be. Picture the day the discovery is made official. A press conference, cameras flashing, the faces of scientists glowing with joy and disbelief. The world tuning in, students, dreamers, skeptics alike. It would be more than a scientific event, it would be a cultural one. For just as Apollo 11's moon landing became a shared memory for generations, so too would the unveiling of Planet 9 become a marker in time, the day humanity's solar system grew larger, the day we learned we had never truly finished mapping our home. And perhaps, most profoundly, Planet 9 would act as a mirror, not of light, but of meaning. It would remind us that humility is essential, that we are never as complete in knowledge as we think. For centuries, we believed we had found all the planets, only to be surprised again. What else lies unseen? What other mysteries wait just beyond reach? Planet 9 would be a whisper from the cosmos: you have not finished the story. Keep turning the pages. The children who grow up seeing that first image will carry its spark for life. Some will become astronomers, some storytellers, some explorers in other fields, but all will remember the thrill of living through the age when the solar system changed. Discovery, after all, is not only for scientists. It belongs to everyone. When we find a new world, it enters the human imagination, reshaping the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and where we belong. And in this sense, Planet 9 would not just be a planet. It would be a dream made real, a reminder that even in a universe so vast, there are still frontiers waiting, just beyond the glow of our sun. Until that day, Planet 9 remains both a mystery and a muse. Whether it proves to be real or not, the very act of searching has already changed us. It has reminded us that wonder is not finished, that curiosity still drives us, that we still look up with hope. And should the dream become reality, should that faint one night resolve into a confirmed planet, then we will know, the universe has not run out of gifts. It still hides treasures for us to find. A new world, a new symbol, a new chapter in the story of humanity and the stars. Close your eyes. Imagine leaving Earth behind. The blue oceans fade, the continents dissolve into shadow, the planet itself shrinking to a fragile sphere of light. You rise above the clouds, past the moon, past the reach of satellites and signals, until only the quiet hum of the cosmos remains. The solar system stretches before you, a grand clockwork of orbits, a dance of worlds lit faintly by the sun. Jupiter swirls with storms, Saturn wears its rings, Neptune glows in sapphire haze. And beyond them, darkness deepens. You drift further still. The stars no longer look familiar, the constellations blur as you slide into distance. Somewhere in this twilight frontier, a world may wait, Planet 9, a ghostly wanderer, silent and cold, circling in exile. You may not see it, but you feel its presence, the tug of its gravity, the suggestion of its orbit, like a secret waiting in the dark. A place where mystery itself takes form. Perhaps one day we will find it. Perhaps not. But tonight, it is enough to know it might be there, watching silently from the farthest edge. The cosmos leans close, as if to speak. Not every mystery must be solved at once. Some are meant to linger, like lullabies carried on starlight. Planet 9 is one such song, a reminder that the universe keeps secrets, not to taunt us, but to give us dreams. And in those dreams, we wander. We drift through the cosmic ocean, buoyed by curiosity, lulled by wonder. As you float deeper into that endless night, the stars themselves seem to dim, like lanterns lowering after a long vigil. The Milky Way folds softly around you, a blanket of light across infinite space. The universe whispers, "Rest now. The mysteries will wait." Planet 9, real or imagined, remains a sentinel in the shadows, a symbol of what lies beyond reach, and of the dreams that carry us there. So let go. Breathe with the rhythm of the cosmos. Feel yourself drifting, weightless, into the cradle of the night. Beyond Earth, beyond the planets, beyond the edge of certainty, you sail into a place where questions shine brighter than answers. And as the darkness embraces you, the final words of the universe reach your heart. Good night, dreamer. May the hidden worlds guide your sleep.